And Tim Tszyu was discussing about, he has a fight coming up in 2 or 3 weeks. And we know that Tim Tszyu trying to get back into the loop at 154. He's not that far away. He got to make some magic happen. They're talking about him and Keith Thurman possibly. I don't know. Keith Thurman's calling out other names. It don't sound like, even though Tim Tszyu got put down, it don't seem like Keith Thurman is still, trying to make that fight happen. Because that would be a good fight. And that would be a good matchup. Perfect for both of the guys. They don't really have a name they don't have any other options right now. So that's the best option to have. But Tim Tszyu said some things like, he said against Bakhram, he tried to get a knockout in 2 rounds. I believe that. He also said he was a lot more serious this time and everything else. But one thing I noticed that he said I did not like. He said that he doesn't watch much film on the guys he goes against. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, hold on. Tim Tszyu went out there and got a knockout against all these guys like Brian Mendoza. Went out there and put in work. And for some reason, he's saying that he doesn't watch film on fighters he goes against like that. He does, but he doesn't really look at it like that. Like, he'll look at it, but not really just studying 24/7. He'll just watch a little tape on them. Bro, I'm going to tell y'all something right now. That's the difference between guys who are great and guys who are just good. Guys who are great and guys who are just good. At the level that Tim Tszyu is at, I feel like he should have been a guy who was looking at Bakhram's fights. Probably should have even went to the fight. Because you knew that was a guy that had the belt and he was going to be somebody down the line that you was possibly going to face. He went to Virgil Ortiz fight between him and Boachuk. He was at that fight. But you didn't fight him. You ended up fighting Bakhram. And my thing is, why is this guy not watching people on film like that? And I know he's not the only one, because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I don't watch the guys that much, or some people say I don't look at my opponents before the fight, or some people will say, well, my team handles all that. This is why I say the Dana White situation is going to be a problem, because a lot of these guys are overlooking their opponents they actually are dealing with on a daily basis. They think that a lot of these guys are not the elite of the elite. See, what they have to realize is Turki Al-Sheikh is making this kind of like in the 90s and the 80s, kind of like what Native Wildman was just talking about. Larry Holmes, Mike Tyson, Evander. You're going to start to see a lot of that stuff he was saying, like guys that have good jabs, but they rarely use it. You're going to see a lot of guys with good jabs, but they rarely use the jab. That's why I was saying in Virgil Ortiz last fight against Majramov, I was like, Virgil Ortiz was using that jab at a high level. Because the first couple of rounds, he was looking, kind of off a little bit, but he started to pick it up with that jab. Started to look different. He was doing a good job, too. But when you look at what these guys are doing in boxing right now, you just got to look at certain things and say, man, I don't know, man. You just got to say, I don't know sometimes. And I was supposed to do a panel today. I'm going to do a panel in the morning, tomorrow, and tomorrow night, everybody. Everybody who wants to do a panel, I'm going to do one tomorrow morning and tomorrow night. I'm going to try to start doing one in the morning and night. I know you guys be wanting to talk about certain things. So anybody want to give me a topic or anything to talk about, we can talk about old school, new school, boxing, whatever. Anybody who got any topics, let me know. And I will definitely give you guys a chance to get on here and voice your opinions tomorrow or whenever. Whenever you guys feel like it, I'll let you guys come on here and voice your opinions on some things. Cause I definitely want other people to talk. I don't want to ball hog and act like I know everything and try to ignore everybody on the channel. I definitely want to hear everybody's opinion. I don't know everything out here. So I would definitely like to hear you guys' opinion on a lot of these things that's going on in boxing. But I just want to say that this is it's going to be called the golden age, but it has to be valued though. If a lot of people are not really being I don't want to say supported, but if a lot of these boxers are going to be overlooked, like Lamont Roach, man, there's no reason why Lamont Roach. And to be honest with you, it was a blessing that Lamont Roach fought Tank, because if he wouldn't have fought Tank, I don't know if people would have looked at Lamont Roach the same. And that's kind of a bad thing in boxing right now, where if you're not fighting the top guy or a big name, you're not really getting looked at the same way as you would if you were just out here doing your own thing. You got to be able to break down certain fights the right way. But that goes back to what I say about Tszyu. I feel like Tszyu is a great fighter. He has great talent, but he's been fighting strictly off of his talent. And hard work has been going into that. But when you have a boxing IQ, you got to realize when you're Tszyu, hey man, I just got rocked by Bakhram. I can't go out there and try to knock him out. But everything that he said, it kind of goes in line with what I thought. He tried to go out there and get a knockout. I thought his head was bleeding. He didn't use that excuse, but I'm not gonna lie, he did think his head was bleeding. Cause I got the same mark on my head, the little gash that he has on the top of his head where he was bleeding. I actually have one of those in my head. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Man, that injury is bad. That's a bad injury. Cause it's almost like a concussion. And it's close to your brain. And that's where the blood is coming from. So that's a hard injury to get past. But I didn't like what he was talking about, his approach into the fight. I didn't like it. I was like, bro, you're not watching film? You're in one of the most dangerous weight classes in boxing. And you're fighting tough guys. You're not fighting easy competition. I would definitely recommend you, and I like the way his father's training him. I don't know why his father's not training him a lot more. He's training him before this fight. Trained him before the last fight. I didn't think Tszyu's training was a problem. He got to get behind that jab a little bit more. Especially when he has guys like Bakhram that's that big. He has to get behind that jab a little bit more. Because I know Jack Koke is not in a position where, and Jack Koke is a good fighter, but I don't know if he's better than Tszyu right now. But Tszyu literally said, I tried to knock him out in 2 rounds. I'm like, whoa, that was a mistake.